All right, it's
Thank
no
you very much.
secret
Happy
that
4th.
housing affordability continues to be a major issue across the country. And it's back in the spotlight after Trump passed that one big, beautiful bill. Today, this sweeping legislation contains several provisions that could impact homeownership and the housing market, including temporarily raising the SALT deduction cap from $10,000 to $40,000, ultimately helping most people in states where income and property taxes are high. However, many Democrats actually argue that this will preliminarily or primarily benefit higher income homeowners instead of people who need it the most, like educators and first responders. There is a bill that had and continues to have bipartisan support that does exactly that. It's called the HELPER Act. And despite the bill not passing in 2023, it has helped lay the groundwork to create a counter version or conversation surrounding housing affordability for people who serve our nation. To discuss this and the comparison with Trump's new bill is Samuel Royer, a veteran and visionary of the HELPER Act. Samuel, thank you so much for being here. Break down the HELPER Act and how it's designated and designed to help teachers and first responders.
Well, first, thanks for having me. And basically, this bill is very simple. You know, unfortunately, our hearts go out to those young girls that, you know, the tragedy that's going on in Texas. And, you know, the first responders that are the ones that are going to show up to really try and save the day, as well as the educators that are going to have to deal with a lot of the things that happen afterwards. Those are the individuals we're trying to serve. They serve in our communities. They do it tirelessly. They don't do it to become millionaires. So what the HELPER Act does, it tries to make their home buying purchase a little bit more affordable, kind of like the VA home loan does for myself as a Marine veteran and other military and veteran members out there.
How does the HELPER Act compare with Trump's one big, beautiful bill and the potential provisions in there to help first responders and educators potentially?
Well, I jokingly say this is the one big, beautiful HELPER Act now. Now that the one big, beautiful bill is passed, you know, now we can move on to individual legislation that will actually help people directly. And in this situation, anybody that served at least 4 years in law enforcement, firefighting, teachers, EMTs, or paramedics, what they'd be able to do is go to any FHA lender in the country and basically go apply for a mortgage. And as long as they're a first-time home buyer, they won't have to put the money down as far as a down payment. And they also won't have that monthly mortgage insurance, which will make it just a little bit more affordable. We're trying to honor these individuals. Now, military members, first responders, teachers, they all serve different purposes in our country. But as a whole, this is America first, and this is what makes America great.
You know, I mentioned a moment ago, there are those who have said that Trump's new bill will only help higher income earners, especially with that SALT deduction. Do you believe that?
That's something that, you know, you have to break down all the different schematics of it. For something like the HELPER Act is something completely that is not a taxpayer-funded option. So this isn't something where when somebody pays into an FHA mortgage, what happens is the federal government is actually collecting a premium. So in the event of a default, that money would come out of that premium. So there's no hurt to the federal government or a taxpayer. And that's why, you know, it's really perplexed us why the HELPER Act hasn't passed yet, because this is such a bipartisan bill. We have 19 U.S. senators. We have over 70 congressional leaders, both on a Democratic and a Republican side. So what we're really calling on is President Trump, you know, Leader Thune, Speaker Johnson, to really come about and now bring affordability to those that serve in our communities.
Yeah, those who help us, help them. Sam Royers, hopefully this passes and we'll have you back on when it does. Thank you so much.